Gordon.
Yeah. Yeah. Wake up, roll out, am on it. Coffee in hand, got a plan, I can feel it. Life is good when I lean and start up right. Doing the work out of sight. Let's go, it's Mojo.
Mojo Monday,
Life is
Rick
better.
Hill. How are you, my
Whoa,
friend?
I'm good, man. It's beautiful. Look, the sun's shining. I got trees behind me. Life's good. Breathing some fresh air.
It's
And it's
something about
Monday.
it's summer, right? Like, so there's something about like seasonal depression. I don't deal with it, and I know most of us in the southern states don't necessarily have it, but people up north talk about it a lot. When the sun is out and it's warm, everybody's happy, and so are we, man. How are you?
I'm good. I just got back from Alaska. Went on a cruise, and everybody talks about how it's the most amazing thing. It was amazing, but it wasn't the most amazing thing. Like the scenery was amazing, but three or four of the small towns we stopped in, it was a little they weren't upbeat and positive. So wherever you live, it's probably a more optimistic environment when, I guess they know it's coming for them that at some point daylight goes away and it's dark most of the time. So
Oh yeah. Well, likewise, I just got back from Sweden. It's the same thing. Like in the summertime, it was almost midnight before the sun went down. And
wow.
then I have been there before in the winter when you maybe get sunlight by like 10, 11 a.m. And I'm
Oof.
like, that's not bright, shiny, happy people. But
Yeah.
we are on Mojo Monday. Rick, Trivia 101. Did you know?
What were the five most impactful economic recessions or depressions in U.S. history?
Five most impacted economic recessions and or depressions.
And or depressions statistically, and I think they're benchmarking, inflation and unemployment as the two drivers. So I can't wait to share. And by the
Yeah.
way, it's not right now.
Okay.
And it hasn't been for 3 years, even though
Put a
we've been
pin
in
in it.
this for, yeah, put a pin in it.
All right, Rick. What do we title in today's episode? I think we could title it How Was Your Week? Wrong question. We could title it Recency Bias versus Intentionality. We could title it, I mean, anything that says uh, mindset is everything, but your outside factors kind of creep into our mindset, right? So I think I'm going to go with How was your week? Wrong question.
Wrong question.
All right, Rick, we're talking about recency bias. That's kind of our topic for today. And it's really bias versus being intentional or versus intentionality. Why don't you set the stage for our talk today?
Well, I can tell you where it started. I was teaching a class a couple weeks ago, and organically, I didn't plan this, but I saw a lot of long faces. I saw a lot of people staring back at me that I'm throwing some serious nugget information, some nugget inspiration, motivation, and strategy. And I just didn't feel like it was landing. And I said, "How are you guys?" I just stopped. Whenever you feel weird energy in a conversation, just stop and check in. Like, don't just say, "How's your day?" Like, tell me, give me examples, give me specifics. Let's dig in. Let's define. And anyway, long story short, I asked them if the current market was worse than or harder than 2008, 9, and 10 for anyone that was in the real estate game back then. And of this, I think out of 25 people, six or seven were around in that era, which we all know was a pretty difficult time with 70% defaults, foreclosures, short sales. 65% of all listings did not sell, did not sell. If you had a luxury listing, you better buy an anniversary gift the day you list it and list it for 2 years because it's not selling in a year. I mean, I just know that I still have PTSD from that era. And the only saving grace on my personal end is we were selling some foreclosures for Fannie Mae, but only a
Yeah.
handful of agents controlled the listing inventory during that depressed cycle. And the seven people or six people that had lived through that and were living through the current market unanimously agreed that this market was harder. And I'm like, oh, how's that even possible? And then that's where the term recency bias. I think because you're feeling what you're feeling, it's really easy to blanket an assumption or a belief or a energy over the current scheme. And it's a risky thing to do right now because what year are we into this current?
I mean, 3 full years. We're in our fourth year. You know, Rick, we're human. We're human beings having a human experience. I think everybody is deals with this, right? Like I could ask myself the question all the time, like, man, this has been a roller coaster of an economic climate from COVID drop off to extreme hyperinflated market to depressed home sales for going on 3 years now. You know, it feels like a shock and awe roller coaster, and it creates confusion. And I ask myself, man, is this the worst market ever? Same question you're asking the room, right?
Right.
It feels like it now because it's recent. Yet, if you pull that, you stretch that timeline out, and I think your did you know will kind of even give us a deeper perspective on that. Like, this is just part of the cycle. And is it better or worse is actually irrelevant if you understand intentionality, right?
Yeah. And I think step one is get really clear in how you feel. Like own your feelings, like get real. Look, my income's down too. Most of my income is hedged and built around real estate brokerages. And so they're down. So the collective is down. So what now what? Look at reality, own it, and then, figure out what's the silver lining in this? What's the lesson we've learned? Because here's the thing, the difference in volume is about a million or 20%, 5 million over the last three or when it was peaking to 4 million now, 3 straight years. The question is, how do you get your unfair share in spite of, not because of? And here's another thing I researched, like the number of competing realtors down 10%. So there are fewer people hunting, even though the volume's down. Don't let the market being down become a debilitating focal point. That's what step one.
Yeah. You know, let's jump into some of our talking points. So, exposure, like this market, one of the gifts or the curse, depending on how you frame it, is that it will expose you.
Hmm.
Meaning somebody that was in the real estate industry or in any sales industry in 2021, I think you and I both paid cash over asking price for cars in 2021. What the heck were we thinking? Let's leave it there. We don't have to analyze that. But so did people with real estate, right? They paid cash over asking price.
Yeah.
That's a totally different market. But somebody that got into that industry or got into our industry around that period of time probably felt a little bulletproof, right? Like in the sense that, man, I'm pretty good at this real estate game. I'm winning. And then now the market shifts and exposure is happening to everybody. And exposure, the frame is the gift or the curse. So the curse could be, man, I'm really getting punished by this real estate market.
Right.
Or the gift could be, hey, it's exposing that my systems, my model of my business, my strategy of my business, the systems I run on a daily basis are not up to par. They're not thriving in my world because they didn't have to thrive in the previous years, where now I'm going, oh man, I remember going to that training class with that smart guy, Rick Hale, telling me to do this, and I didn't necessarily implement this, and this.
And
And
it was still great.
right?
It was, well, you reminded me that recency bias isn't a negative thing. It's
No.
just a thing. It's
Yeah.
whatever you're currently experiencing. It's natural to feel that energy, good or bad. Your favorite day ever, you might think, well, like you said, 2021, when things were just, I mean, everybody showed up a winner. When the tide rises, all boats rise. And it's easy to assume that's going to go in perpetuity, and it's just not. So, I remember my dad saying, life is like New England weather. If you don't like it, just wait a while. It's going to change, and
Yeah.
probably this week. Now, this market is a little different in that it's stayed the same for, it's kind of been flat.
So I'm going to throw a weird saying in here, and it's kind of pop culture. It says, ignorance is bliss. I don't think that's really what we're talking about here, right? Like you're saying you got to recognize your feelings. If you're not recognizing anything, you may be living in this ignorance is bliss mantra, and you're probably not going to make any changes.
Yeah.
Like pain is a good motivator, so is opportunity, but you got to have
Well,
some kind of exposure or awareness, right?
motivation is massively important. The thing is, we're all motivated differently. And there's a quote somewhere that I read and occasionally recite that motivation's paramount to anything significant. The source of it is largely irrelevant. So it doesn't really matter the source. And I've also watched and witnessed professionals who really do evolve. And, is it evolution or revolution? And you get to decide the urgency attached to your change. But ultimately, it comes down to inspiration or desperation. And both work. I would prefer to live in the inspiration quadrant because I feel like I made a choice and I'm not letting the world dictate how and when I put the rudder down and turn on the motors.
Yep. There you go. All right. So exposure. Um, I want to talk about fruit trees for a minute, Rick.
As you should. Let's do some
We
garden.
should.
Are we
You
going to do
know,
some gardening?
yeah, well, gardening and fruit trees, I think, are kind of different, right? Like a lot of people will start in the spring and start planting their garden, getting their beds ready. And by midsummer, man, they're harvesting their fruit, right? Like they're harvesting their tomatoes and their cucumbers and their all that food, right? But fruit trees are a little bit different. Meaning, if I were to go into your backyard with you and we dig a hole and plant you an apple tree, Rick, how long does it take before you're chomping down on an apple?
I mean, it's years,
Yeah,
years. You're not going to get it in the same season or at the end of the planting season. That's for
no.
sure.
So I actually think recency bias versus intentionality. Intentionality says I'm going to go plant an apple tree knowing I'm going to have really good, delicious red apples 2 years from now.
Hmm.
I'm going to go plant a grapefruit tree. I'm going to go plant an orange tree. I'm going to go plant some tree that's got to mature over the next couple of years so I have amazing fruit in my life 2, 3 years from now.
Hmm.
Or I could focus all my energy on planting my garden in April, May. Just know it dies in October.
Yeah. It's a seasonal experience. You have to keep doing it over and over and over. That's the low fruit, not the
Yeah.
long game. That's the short game, not the long game. So
Talk to me about it.
if you're if let's assume just based on the top-down report that you and I look at, there is a large percentage of our agent base that's not crushing it. And so if you're in that category and you're doing average or below performance and productivity, I'd take a hard look at your database. I'd take a hard look at your Mets because there's a statistical benchmark in the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, that says for every 12 people, you should generate two pieces of business in your Met database. The qualifying reality, though, is that you've got to have them in your database and not a directory or phone book, but an actual functioning strategy around touches 36 to 39 times a year. Everything from emails, texts, voicemails, in face, in person, anniversary cards. There's a litany of ways to connect and communicate value and stay in relationship. What I would challenge you to do if you're in that middling group that's not crushing it, overinvest in expanding your database, overinvest in nurturing the people you have, because if you don't, someone else will. And the gift right now is that I'd say half the real estate world is taking a nap. They're hibernating. They're not working as hard. They're kind of waiting for the market to turn or hoping what they already have in their garden bears fruit. My advice is go plant new gardens. Go find fresh soil. And if the market, there's no good or bad markets, in my opinion, just markets. There's opportunity in every market.
Yeah,
Analyze who's crushing it and why in your area, and then analyze what market areas that could be geographic, it could be price point, it could be socioeconomic, demographic. There are lots of ways to analyze the market, but there's probably 500,000 people inside of a sphere of potential buyers and seller pool for your area that you could win with, and one or two extra a month changes everything. Play the lagging, excuse me, the leading indicator, not the lagging. And if 12 to 2 is your number, which the reason it's not 6 to 1, just educational moment, is that Gary wanted you to think of those two sales out of each 12 people that you market to every year, one being a referral and one being a direct sale. And so it could be 6 to 1, but whatever your ratio is, double the number of people that know you, like you, and trust you, and you will double your performance in any market.
that's
Keep it
perfect.
keep it simple, and don't let that noise create recency bias that's negative. If anything, develop a recency bias around how rewarding it is to add really cool people to your world.
Yeah, the relationship game. I mean, we
Yeah,
play that on social media. You're like, oh, how many people follow me? How many people liked my post? How many people commented? Well, the reality is that's a little bit artificial and a little bit real, but the database game is very real. You're not
very
going to
real.
put somebody in your database. You're not going to label them sphere of influence. You're not going to label them a VIP, a client if that's not a true follower, if that's
Mm.
not a true relationship in your life. And Rick, just to kind of circle back, that is the apple tree. Those people are going to be a part of your apple tree producing delicious fruit in the next couple of years. But if you don't nurture it, there will be no fruit.
Yeah. And here's step one: plant the seed.
Yeah.
Like, make it part of your daily focus to go find new people. There's actually a metric in the old Ignite, which now is they have a new name for it,
Breakthrough 120.
Breakthrough 120. And I don't know if they still use the daily 10-4 as the goal setting and tracking, like a formula. And what it basically says do, and what I would recommend if you're feeling a slump, lean into this for a solid week or two or a month. Go find 10 people who are not in your database currently. They could be in your phone, but not in your database. Cross reference your phone to your database. Make
Yep.
sure all the people you know are being nurtured and on a touch plan. Step one. Step two, how do you add 10 more a day every day? And so find 10, put 10 people in your database, send 10 thank you notes a day, handwritten, and then preview 10 houses. So over time, you become a master of your market area and an absolute wizard with real estate. You do
All day
that,
long.
that'll fix any slump. That'll take care of your business. And you know what you're doing? You're planting apple trees.
Rick, I think I got to plant an apple tree now. Just for the
Just,
analogy, right? You know, a good friend of mine wrote a book called The 10-Year Letter. I happen to have it here because Craig Zuber wrote it. And I was reading it on it's a plane ride I was on recently. And the interesting thing is if I asked you, how was your week is going to be a short period of time that's going to have, it's impossible not to have recency bias. Ooh, I hit my step goal yesterday. I didn't hit my step goal yesterday. My Strava app didn't track my exercise like it was supposed to. I'm giving real examples
which
here.
actually happened to me today.
Yeah,
So yeah, we report to each other our activity goals each day, not
yeah.
week, not month. Every day, Brett and I text each other, did we hit our activity goal? I kayaked for 3 hours at 6 a.m. Now, granted, I was fishing at the same time. I know I went close to 3 miles, and for whatever reason, Strava didn't document it.
Well, but it doesn't matter because you know in your mind you did it, right?
I feel great.
But the question, how was your week? The reason it's the wrong question is the timeline's too short. And the short timeline it's impossible to get out of the recency bias of a short period of time. And it just dawned on my way we were doing this, like, how was your decade?
Mm.
It's probably a really fascinating question, right? I could ask, how was your year? I'm not sure a year is a big enough timeline, right? Like if I talked to a producer in our world, Rick, and I said, "Hey, how's your year going?" They're gonna say what? "Oh, I'm crushing it. I'm a little off pace, or I'm having a horrible year, or whatever they say." It's still recent. We're in the year. But if you got to intentionality of planting an apple tree and intentionality of looking at something over a longer period of time, it's easier to stay in intentionality in that context than, hey, how's the week going?
I'll add a little bit of context. Yes, a week, a month, 6 months, it's hard to, you can't get vitals for 6 months, like, your all the important metrics for success. And based on how you feel in a given moment, probably affects how you're going to rate that collective big long range number. But I'll add this. It's almost like you want to sandwich those two. You want the super long range perspective where you can easily garner gratitude for what has happened and where you are in life. Take a deep breath. Your best day, excuse me, your worst day is someone's best day somewhere. And then, so what now? What? How do I continue to compound that? But the other half of the sandwich bread is today. It's the only thing you can actually control. You
Correct.
can literally wake up and own 10, 12, 14 hours of a day. And you decide, are you going to plant seeds of future awesome? Are you just going to forget to plant? Are you going to let the consumption of, or the energy of a recency bias affect your attitude and hope that something external changes everything? I mean, choice, not chance, determines your destiny. You have one day. It's your only
They're
guarantee in life.
on this call, Rick Hale. Some level of intentionality got them on this call.
That's an
To
excellent
hear
point.
this message. So give yourself a round of applause because you're already living into intentionality. Now translate it and compound that effect and take it into your business, guys.
Yeah. I have
You
a
got
book for everybody to consider. I just finished it. It's hilarious and it's all about marketing and exposure. It's called Stupider People Have Done It by Jay Schwedelson. Stupider.
what motivated you to pick that up, Rick?
Somebody had to tell me because I'm pretty sure I would not have just, I wouldn't have been Googling for that title. But he's a marketing guy, which if you're in sales and marketing, he's got some extremely positive different perspectives other than what you might have believed. And I buy into much of what he says. And the Audible, he's just funny. He's a funny dude. So I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll inspire and motivate. And it's about planting seeds. You have today, own the day.
Love it. Rick, I'm dying to hear your did you know?
Did you know the five greatest economic contractions or recessions? Well, one of them is a depression, was 1929 to 1933. The GDP, gross domestic product, completely collapsed. The banking system failed. There was a run on banks. Unemployment was 25%. One in four did not have a job. COVID recession,
Hang on, go back. I want to check in on time periods. That was
1920.
years.
Yes, that was 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Well, and the next one surprised me, the COVID recession. So, that for a minute, I know I could
Nervous.
not have been more stressed for a second. And then somehow we recovered from the COVID recession, February to April 2020. So
3 months.
3 months. It was the fastest economic collapse in modern US history. Unemployment skyrocketed to 14.8, just under 15% in 3 months. Everyone went panic pull. Whew. There was a lot of recency bias. Then the third was the Great Recession and financial crisis. This is the one I was referencing in the class, December of 2007 to June of '09. I felt like it went longer than that, to be honest.
2.5 years. 2.5 years.
GDP fell 4.3%, unemployment hit 10%, housing and banking crisis. I already gave you the stats. 75% distressed property sales. 65% of homes did not sell in each listing cycle. So right now, if you get a house, the odds are really good it sells. The fail rate is still only a third, not two
Yeah.
thirds. Back then, you had to get four houses listed to sell one. All right. And then next up is the recession of 37, 1937 and 38. That was May to June of
Mm.
38. So like a year, basically.
And that's right before World War II, right?
Pretty much. It was
Yep.
a severe relapse during the Depression recovery and one of the sharpest in 20th century. And then number five was 81 to 82. When I talk about 2010, 9 and 10 or 8, 9, 10, this is people older than me, 20, 15, 20 years talk about the 81, 82. And the Fed deliberately crushed high inflation with extreme interest rate hikes, unemployment at 10.8. And people of that era will talk about 18 to 20, 24% interest rates. Can you imagine?
No.
How hard would it be to get buyers and sellers on the same page when your mortgage is 20%?
And you're not getting anywhere because it's all interest in the beginning.
I
Yeah.
love the current market.
Yeah.
It's
You
all
know,
perspective.
here's the thing. We've had 3 full years. We're in our fourth year. I don't have the crystal ball. We joked about that recently, but truth is, it can't last that much longer. There's
No,
no way.
I would wake up every day and plant fruit trees. That's the moral of the story. And the fruit tree is your database. The fruit tree are the current relationships that you aren't as connected as you could or should be that really matter with people that already know you. And then the addition of people that don't know you yet, but really need to know you. You have gifts, talent, skill, charisma, and capacity to help people have an amazing life experience and build wealth through real estate. Go
I'm gonna
exercise
plant an
that
apple
gift.
tree.
Exercise that gift and plant apple trees.
Love it, Rick. How was your week? It's the wrong question to be asking.
It's what am I doing today to plant another tree?
There you go.
All
Rick,
right.
what better day to plant an apple tree than?
Mojo Monday.
Yes, sir.
Wake up, roll out in the morning. Coffee in hand, got a plan, I can feel it. Life is good when I lean and start up right. Doing the work out of sight. Let's go, it's Mojo.